Here we go. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Marriage is Tougher Than Woodpecker Lips podcast. This is Brian.
And I'm Paul. We'd like to welcome you to a community meant for the men of the world to share our thoughts and perspectives on marriage.
We can learn from each other's experiences and help each other be better husbands. Now, let's get right into the show.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today, we're just going to talk about better than we think. You know, what are we doing in our marriages and what are we doing positively? And how we may not always think about those things because we know that we need to grow in certain areas.
And I want to take this quick second to remind you to link up with us on our social medias, searching Marriage is Tougher across everything, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, even marriageistougher.com, where you can request to be a guest, give us topic ideas. All you have to do is fill out a short form. Doesn't cost you anything, but we'll have just a short process of qualifying you, and then we'll go from there if you would like to be a guest. If you want to continue the conversation with us about any of our topics or shows, please do that on Instagram. But we would love to hear from you. So with all that being said, let's get right into this show.
Better than we think. You know, this topic is near and dear to me, and I think to us, just because we like to think of ourselves as always growing and having a growth mindset. And I know we both listen, read books, try to put ourselves in a space where we're constantly improving. So with that, I think that leads to seeking out areas that we're not where we want to be and really diving into those spaces. So that almost takes up most of our time, thought, and energy. So you could, in that space, when you're always thinking you need to improve, you could negate the areas that you have improved and moved past, or those areas that you naturally just do well because it's already inside of you. And that's what God has placed you. So you don't even think of it as, you maybe not even think of it as doing well. It's just who you are. And that can be a tough space.
Yeah. I'm realizing now that I often tend to put my progress behind me. Right? I forget the advancements that I've made. I know that I'm doing certain things a lot better. And then when I get into an area of contention with my wife, I then start to seek credit, right, for those improvements that I've made. I feel that we could definitely both be better at automatically giving that recognition when those things happen and continually giving that recognition. But I feel like that's an area where I kind of hang up on it. Right. I forget it initially. I know that I did the work, right? I know I'm improving. I know I have improved. And then when I start to focus on an area where I need improvement, I definitely get down on myself for not being better already. And then when she points it out that I need to be better in a certain area, and I'm like, yeah, but what about, you know what I mean? What about this back over here? Don't pay attention to the loser behind the curtain. He was winning over there.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, that is, I'm just reflecting on if I do that. Um, I think for me, it's the opposite. Like, I will, once it's pointed out that I'm doing, I just kind of, it could snowball for me real quick.
Mm.
Like, I can self-deprecate, really feel like I'm a terrible person. and then start thinking of all the areas that she didn't say that I see that she probably sees. And, like it can just go real bad real quick. Um, so, depending on which person you are, um, really setting space, it's almost like how do we healthily set space for the things that we have grown and done well in.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I know how to do that.
Yeah. It- It's funny. Like I said a little while ago, it kind of falls back into this area of giving without expectation. I The more we talk, the less I think that's possible. Right? And I don't know, is that part of the contract we made, right? Is is that part of the vows? Like, I'm gonna give you all of me, but I want to be recognized for it.
It doesn't sound so good when you say it out loud like that, right?
Yeah, no, and I don't remember saying that in the vows either. But
It's the fine print, the fine print of it, right? I wrote them, but I put them in the fine print. So it was really under the when we signed the marriage license. That
uh,
was that was where the files we just say the high points, but the nitty gritty, yeah.
hey, look, this goes both ways as well, right? Do you find yourself coming up short of offering her credit for all the wins that she's had?
I I think I'm becoming better, and obviously I'll have to see. I'll have to verify that this is what is. But I think I have gotten better communicating verbally, but that is not I don't know if that's the best way to show her that, right? Like, obviously, you can't show with words, but you know what I mean? Like, I want her to feel it. So,
Hmm.
yes, I can say it, but also, how can I show it as well?
Hmm. I am certainly not great at this. And so I'm glad we're having this conversation because it will just become one of those things that I know I need to improve on, but will now reflect on it more often when I see her winning in an area, right? I know she needs that encouragement to help her keep going sometimes, right? It's funny
Hmm.
how this flipped. This is wild. Um, Man, I want to ask you this, and we've already discussed it, but just officially on air, does it make you appear weak to seek the recognition for your accomplishments? And I don't mean outside of the marriage, I mean within the marriage.
No, no. I mean, I think some people could take it. I don't think they would say weak, but it almost would be like that's why you're doing it.
Mhm.
And I know that's not the heart of that.
Yeah.
Um, but
I
it's
almost want to say, like, is it almost childish, I guess,
yeah,
is
yeah.
more appropriate.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of where I'm going. Like we've been doing that since we were a child. Like we're like, hey, someone look at me. I'm doing this. Hey, did you see my drawing? Hey, did you see me do this? Hey, I won this award. Right. And I think depending on your upbringing, like that can be squashed really quickly.
Mm.
Like if your parents weren't engaged or didn't have time or were, busy working three jobs trying to get, everything. So they may not have been as excited um, or if your parents just weren't there, if one parent wasn't there. So now you're seeking just this approval and this acknowledgement. But as we were talking, I was thinking like, if you take this all the way back to like caveman days, right, where we're hunters and gatherers and food wasn't always readily available, like you have to prove that you're valuable for your community.
Mhm.
right? Like you have to
Yeah.
prove like I belong, I need, because we survive as humanity in community. So, for me, I'm like, man, like I got to prove that when this buffalo is killed that I can get some of this meat. Like I don't want to just be like, like, are we gonna give our rations to this dude? Like he's not doing nothing. Like why is he even here? So I think forever we've tried to, or we want to prove that we have worth, and that helps build up our quote unquote self worth as well. And I was listening to, I think, a podcast, and the lady was talking about that, how she sees her husband get praise from his mom and his grandma,
Mhm.
right? And how she used to think, like, oh my gosh, it's so childish. But then turning around and giving that praise to her boys, and then trying to figure out, like, when does it, like, why does it stop just because you get older? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be demonized when someone wants that, or um, it affects them positively. I think that should be, and that kind of changed my mindset even with my daughter, like trying to make sure that I give her that, because I know Crystal and her aunt and like a lot of other people are really good at like being so attentive when she brings something, but I'm not as expressive. So, but that is something that we need. And this has just allowed me to reflect even more. Like from a child, we're looking to show that we can do something, have done something. So I don't think it should be wrong in our marriage to say, hey, like, if you see me doing something, you know, acknowledge it. And vice versa. Like, if I see you, I know innately you want this to be seen. Not, you're not doing it to be seen, but if it is acknowledged, it goes a long way.
Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like that could go a couple different ways, right? You brought up the point that if someone didn't receive that as a child, they might crave it. But I think it is built into us so inherently that even though I received that all of my life, I still crave it, right? And it's kind of funny because I have this thought of what's the balance,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like how much do I need to attempt to accomplish things with no credit, right? And I try to do that in my giving, right? I it's you know what I was just thinking about. I do this at work, but I think I do have it pretty well balanced, right? There are certain things that I'll do, go out of my way to help people, and I want to receive credit for. And then there's quite a few things that I do that kind of fly under the radar. But I also think inherently people understand that there is a certain amount of effort that is needed to accomplish the things that I've accomplished, and whether they know specifically what I did or not, they probably know that they couldn't have done it themselves, or
Mm-hmm.
without my position existing, those things wouldn't have been done. Um, but with all that said, I feel like we need to get back to better than we think. But um, so I guess what is the balance of knowing that you are accomplished in your marriage and knowing that there are things you need to improve on, right? Excuse me, because this whole idea in my head is like, oh, just from a personal level, there are going to be times where I might feel that I'm failing, and there have been times where I've felt like I've been failing my marriage. And if I really sat back and reflected on what I've accomplished, it's been better than I thought. right? So how do we how do we balance not falling too far in one end of the pool or the other, right? Because I also don't want to say, well, here are all my accomplishments, and I'm going to solely rest on those. And those improvements we could probably do without.
Yeah, I can speak probably for those of us that are looking to improve a lot and are open for feedback all the time.
Mhm.
So if well, when it's comfortable for us, because I'm not always open. Um, but I think having a time of reflection, like a scheduled time, you know, it's around the new year now, so like having time maybe once a quarter, you and your wife sit down and be like, where are we? Like, where are
Mm.
we crushing it right now? You know what I mean? And just sit in that. And
Yeah.
not say the buts or the but over here we or this and how about that? No, just like where are we doing well? Where am I doing well as a person? Where are you doing well as a person? Where are those? Let's evaluate that space because I think we're constantly looking to improve or working or reading or listening something that is showing us that we don't have it all together and we need to continue to strive to not that we'll ever arrive, but it's in the striving that we get better. So I think having maybe like I said once a quarter, every couple months, just take some time out on your date night or say take some time out when you're about to watch a movie or sitting down for something that is just the two of you, and just ask that question. So and I think that would help balance because even when you're in the oh I can't do anything right thing or I need to work so hard, like those times will pop up right when you need a boost.
Yeah. I was just thinking about how easy it is for me to give credit in the work arena, right? If I have a direct report, it's like, oh, hey, thank you for getting that done, right? It's, you might give awards, bonuses, things of that nature. I don't thank my wife enough. I truly don't. And here I am sitting and reflecting on how I need that and I don't deliver on it. And I teach my kids often treat others how you would like to be treated.
Yeah, that is that's good self-reflection. I think I have improved throughout our marriage in that. Um, but I mean, she puts me in awe every day of something crazy that I know I couldn't do because I think because we're so opposite in some areas, just even her thought process like blows my mind. Like, how did you even think about that? So I try to, in those moments, I've been better recently in those moments, just say it, because I am an internal processor. A lot of times early in our marriage, I would just like, man, that's amazing. And like, it'd be gone, like that thought's gone.
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to put, at least verbiage to that, um, to let her know. So just when you see something and you're you're looking at her like, wow, Katie, you just rocked that. Just say it out loud.
Yeah. It's funny because I give her all the credit in the world to other people.
That part.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think I got better because Crystal brought that to my attention because she's heard me talk and gloat about her to other people. But she's like, but you never say it to me.
Mm.
And that just hits different.
Ouch. Man. I don't know. we're talking about better than we think, but I always have a way to just punch myself in the face.
Well, I mean, yeah, because it just allows us to reflect. I mean, and as we're reflecting, I am not the best at taking when people acknowledge that I do something well.
Mhm.
I'm not the best at receiving it. And I think there's a couple reasons. One, because I feel like as a society, we have this, you have to be humble, but then you also almost have to be like overly humble, right?
Mhm.
And I know being a musician and like really being with some phenomenal players, like there's always this kind of banter, like, "Yo, you're crushing it. No, you're killing it. No, you're killing," like that type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's just the essence of like that space sometimes. Um, I think it's that. And then the second part of that is I know that I still have to improve on all these other things. So for me, it's like, yeah, I might be doing well here, but like holistically, I feel like I need so much work. So
Mhm.
I don't give myself space to take any type of compliment. And I think that could hinder others giving you compliments because it becomes weird and like uncomfortable because like I just said you were great. Like you're actually doing well. And because a lot of the things are internal, like other people that are close to us may not see the struggle, right? They're just seeing the product of our awesomeness, but we know that we need work on the inside.
Yeah. Hmm. You just had me reflect back to a conversation uh, I just had with my new boss. Right, he's so new, like into this position. It's just a couple weeks, and the funny thing about the conversation was he. Well, there's a lot of people in the office that don't necessarily know what I do, right? And he was included on an email for this monthly report, and I'm the only one who ever touches it. That's just what it is. But there's a bunch of people included on the email that is due. So he, I guess, not necessarily knowing what the report was a little bit concerned, and so he approached me and said, "Hey, I don't know if you even got this, or oh, but this is due." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I got it. Like, let's consider it done, right?"
Hmm.
And that could have gone a couple different ways. I could have taken a lot more credit for it and just went off and said, "Oh yeah, I do this by myself every time," like you know, right, and
Hmm.
did it that way. But I just made it like simply so understated that it's taken care of. And then even my direct supervisor, asked me about it because the scene, the location manager seemed worried, but he's like, since you took over, like I haven't even thought about the report. He's like, I ask you if it's done or whatever, but outside of that, like I don't even look at it. He's like, has anything changed with it? Like I was like, Steve, you're good. I got it. Right. Um, I don't know. All that to say that sometimes that can play in your favor and sometimes it can be detrimental. Um, but I also wanted to ask you, how are you at receiving negative feedback? Right? Do you ever thank your wife for giving you negative feedback?
I actually thanked her the other day.
Tell me about that.
It um so it I don't it might not have been immediate, but I think it was. It was within the 24 hours of that I got the feedback.
Okay.
I circled back to tell her thank you. Um because it was, and it's an area that is ongoing for me. which she has to endure my shortcoming, right? Like
Yeah.
that's one of those like we're locked in, we're married, and you suck at this, and I'm gonna tell you. And she's like, I'm only gonna bring it up when God tells me I need to bring it back up, and you have to figure this out. So it's one of those things where I just had to think like it's it's like it's good that it's seen that I'm not where I need to be, and she's taking the time to say, "Hey, this is not it. Like you have to be better." Um, it's not awesome that I'm not excelling and I'm not growing, but it's to know that someone sees you and wants you to improve as much, if not more, than you want to.
Hmm.
Um, then that's good. But that's definitely a growth area for me because I would sulk for days, days, and she will vibe that she will verify that that is true. Like early on in our marriage, even probably up until like 3 4 years ago, like I would, or maybe even less than that. I would just sulk for days, like getting negative feedback, and I would appreciate it, but I wouldn't say thank you, or it
Right.
wouldn't be a. It'd be like a obligatory thank you. Like I have to say tell you thanks, but I would be butthurt for days.
Yeah, I hear that. I think I'm still in that area, which is why I brought it up. I need to be better at inviting the pain. Right. We talk about the only way to get through something is to go through something. Uh, a lot of times you're going to feel like you can get over around it or under it, but you know, the wall still exists and it needs to be broken. You could be, maybe you feel like you're on the other side of it, but you know, our, as you said, our marriages and the situations within our marriages can be cyclical. So, you know, that wall will eventually represent itself and it needs to be knocked down. So, you know, it's just me kind of realizing that I need to be better at inviting her in more to give me, I'll, I'll rephrase it. So, positive reinforcement of things I need to improve. Which could be pain.
Hmm. I mean, it is just feedback.
Yeah.
Like maybe not, maybe we just have to look at it different. It's feedback, and we need to take it and do what we need to do with that feedback. Whether it's log it away for that was a good job or figure out steps to be better because we're coming up short.
Mhm.
So, I mean, she's just telling you and reacting to what you're doing. So either way, it's feedback. So we mean we need to, as husbands, we need to welcome that because that means our wife sees us and she wants us to grow. If she's not saying anything, it's like, what have we done to cause her not to speak? Are we either not growing or not doing anything, or have we not reacted so we've reacted so poorly that she doesn't even want to bring it? And I don't ever want to be in that space where my wife is like, "Oh, let him flounder like an idiot." Like,
Yeah. Like I'm
well,
checking them out.
yep, see ya, dummy. Like, you don't want that as a wife because your wife is the person that can help you be the best. I mean, you're both supposed to help each other to meet your full potential. She's not just supposed to help you, you're supposed to help her. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
Just helping y'all improve marriages out here as we improve our own.
right.
So, you know, wrapping up here, but I just want to definitely thank everybody for listening. We are fast, very quickly approaching 2 years of doing this. And as you can tell by each episode, there are still lots of areas for us to improve in our respective marriages. But that is to say that, you know, marriage isn't easy. It is something that has the room to constantly be improved. And as you improve, as you move into new growth areas, even when you do improve, you will find ways to be better, even in the improvements that you've made already. So I just want to encourage all the men out there and even the women who may be listening, don't stop. Take action and take accountability for the things, you know, it, take accountability for the roles that you play in which you can realize that you need to be better. And don't be afraid to speak up in your marriage for the things that you want and need to change, and invite the feedback like we just got done saying. Because if you're not having those conversations, things won't improve. And, you know, I'll be praying for your marriage.
Yeah, so if this episode has given you any value or you want to give us any feedback, please reach out on any of our socials. If you want to have the conversation, hit us up on Instagram. Leave us a message on our website, marriageistougher.com, to give us any comments, or if you want to be a guest. We really appreciate it, and we're trying to build a community that is looking to improve and win in their marriage. So, again, reach out on all of our socials. We thank you for listening, and we appreciate you.
Peace.